Hi everyone, today I'm talking about Dice Miner, which is a 2021 release board game. This one accommodates 1 to 4 players and takes around 20 to 30 minutes to play. It's a rather simple dice drafting and dice rolling game with a pretty novel concept and something that I haven't seen before, which is this mountain system, which is how you're going to draft your dice. So before the game even starts, you are all going to draft one of these player cards, which gives you a unique ability throughout the game, and I'll explain what they do a bit later and show the advantages that they can give you. So yeah, you're going to have this big mountain here, and as you can see, 20 dice have been loaded onto this mountain. Then in turn order, we are going to select one of these dice on one of these pinnacles of this mountain. So for example, player 1 might select this 5, player 2 might then select this, this beer, player 3 might select this one, and so on until all the dice are depleted. And then you're going to calculate what all these dice do. So let's take a look at what they do. So before you calculate your points for the round, if you have any of these grey dice with this magic symbol on them, you can re-roll that number of dice. So for example, this one here lets me re-roll 1 dice, or if I had this side, it would let me re-roll 2. So I'd have to pick that many and re-roll them. So these give you a lot of flexibility. The other type of dice you've got are these normal dice here, which are called tunnel dice. And these give you straight up points, but only if you get them in sequential order from number 1 going upwards. So this would get me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 points. But if I didn't have this one, and say I had this one, I wouldn't get any points because you need to start at number 1. So for each set, you can potentially get 15 points. The other dice you can get are these gem dice here, these yellow ones, which give you the equal amount of points to the number of symbols on them. But if you are the most player or the player with the most of these symbols on, then your score for these dice is going to get doubled. So really worth investing in. You've also got these hazard dice here, and they come in 2 different symbols. You've got these dragon symbols, and you've got these kind of cave-in symbols. And they are going to give you negative points unless you have a matching symbol. So if you have these green dice with a shield on, or one with these like pickaxe symbol on, then they are actually going to convert those symbols into plus points. So they can potentially get you a lot of points, but only if you have one of these matching or corresponding dice to counteract that. You've also got the ability to use these kind of treasure chest ones, which lets you basically store 2 dice that you've rolled this turn in the exact face value you've got. So if I really wanted to keep, let's say I wanted to keep these 3 points here, and perhaps I wanted to keep a dragon shield, that I could do, but then everything else is going to get re-rolled. So you have to bear in mind that if you want to keep specific die faces, then you're going to have one of these. And the final thing, or kind of type of dice you can have, are these kind of beer glasses or these beer mugs. And when you use those, when it comes back to your turn, you're going to be able to roll it to another player and potentially give them a benefit or a punishment. And then that is going to allow you to draft from the mountain again, but you are not limited to only taking the ones from the top. You can also take ones from the side, like so. It's also worth using your player power to your advantage. So these come in with lots of different benefits. So for example, this Dragon Slayer, I automatically have one of the shields, so I don't have to worry about converting my dragon symbols into plus points because they automatically will be. And this one gets me an automatic reroll from turn to turn. And there's a lot of variability in these ones. So you've got like this one gives you like a gem each turn and converts all your cave-ins to plus points. You've got ones that lets you kind of store 2 back automatically, 3 re-rolls, 2 gems and a dragon symbol, even just some different cave-in symbols or different tunnel dice, so you don't have to worry about getting those particular pip values. So these give you a nice little benefit that you can use to your advantage and kind of tailor your strategy towards. And once everybody has calculated their score, you're going to play for another 2 rounds with the exact same circumstances. However, any dice from the previous rounds are actually going to stay in your dice pool. So as you can probably imagine, you're going to be drafting more and more dice in there, potentially getting more and more sets of these tunnel dice, and really ramping up your points as you go. Of course, if you have any of these chests, you can store specific dice back, so you're only going to have to re-roll these ones for your next turn. And these are, of course, you can re-roll these ones if you ever take any more of these re-roll dice. So that's going to be how it plays out. It's pretty simple. You're just trying to get as many points as you can, and by the end of the 3rd round, the player with the most points is going to be the winner. So as you can tell from the demonstration there, this is an extremely simple game. However, there are quite a few things that I like about it. So first off, this actual drafting system, I think it's fantastic. I've never seen anything like this before, at least with dice. So I love this idea that you can only ever take from these little pinnacles on each of these mountain tops, and that's a real thematic and interesting way of drafting dice. As not only are you trying to think about how far you want to burrow so you can get the dice that you want, but also having to be aware that you are potentially awarding your opponent some decent dice if you dig in certain areas. So this is really cool, and I really appreciate this, and something that I haven't seen before, and I think this is a lot of fun. I also do like the way that some of these dice work, you know, the fact that some of them are negative points and you have to counteract them by getting a certain dice or potentially suffer quite a big punishment. I like the mitigation of the dice rolls, and I like the mitigation of storing certain dice back, and even the idea that if you invest in things such as these gems, then you are not only going to get this base amount of points, but you're going to get the double value as well. So it adds a nice little level of player interaction where you want to be racing for having the most of these, and of course that always links back to the mountain here and what you're going to leave your opponent. So I do like that quite a lot. I think of course this is a very luck-driven dice game that only takes 20 minutes, and I'm happy with the level of luck in it because the game is so light and so fast. However, there are some odd moments of frustration where, you know, if you want to have a particular run of these tunnels and you've got like the 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, they're not going to be worth. Sorry, it only goes up to 5, but they're not going to be worth anything unless you have the number 1. And of course, sometimes the luck is just not going to play into your hands, and you're going to have to potentially waste a lot of drafts. But I suppose you could always try and get more of these reroll dice to counteract that. But yeah, overall, I'm not fussed about the level of luck because that pretty much is what the game is about. And I do like the different ways that these dice are used, and they add some interesting decisions. I'm very happy that the game only takes about 20 to 30 minutes to play. It certainly doesn't outstay its welcome, and those 3 phases or 3 rounds do go extremely quickly. So, you know, it's certainly not like, you know, you get halfway through the game and you're wishing for it to end. You know, it does fly by very quickly, and I love the way that each round compounds on each other. And I think that's probably my favourite thing about this game, is that all the dice you've drafted previously from the earlier rounds do stay in your pool rather than just having to start again and pretty much rinsing and repeating. And it does ramp up the gameplay quite nicely, and meaning that by the end of the game you're going to have a whole bunch of dice at your disposal that you're going to have to manipulate, getting sets of these tunnel dice, trying to get as many dragon symbols in that as you can, because you almost are guaranteed to have one of these shields. And it just comes together in a really nice way, and a nice ramping up effect, and a good kind of arc to the game that I really appreciate. The uptime as well is pretty quick. I mean, you don't have to wait for anybody's turn. Each draft is very quick because, you know, you've only got like 3 choices at a time. And yeah, so you're not waiting for other people to take their turns. Additionally, when it does come to calculating your scores, you can do it all simultaneously. You know, everybody can re-roll their dice at the same time and put them into sets and things. So you're not waiting for other people to take what they need to do in order for you to do what you need to do. And I like that. Replayability, yeah, this is a pretty light game, and there isn't a lot of scope to what you can kind of dig into. However, you know, it is a welcome addition that they've put so many of these different abilities in, just to change the feel of the game just a little bit each time you play it. And I do think these are all generally pretty well balanced. I think some I would probably lean towards before other ones I would choose, but rather than kind of choosing from the whole array of these player powers, I think I'd rather just dish one out randomly to everybody, and hopefully they make the best of their power from there. So you get to see a bigger scope of what these player powers can do. But I do like them. Additionally, the aesthetic of the game is nice. You know, all these player powers and these different cards. The artwork is good. It's certainly quite professionally done, and the components themselves are nice. The nice quality dice and the symbols on them are all bespoke for the game. And this mountain actually works well. So I like it when pieces like this, I suppose you could almost call it a gimmick, but it's functional. It works. It does what it's supposed to do, and I love it when things do what they're supposed to do. And this one certainly does that. Now, this is the standard version of the game. So there's 2 versions. There's the standard one like this, which is basically a sheet of cardboard that stands on another one, and there's the more deluxe one, which has this big chunky mountain made out of plastic. And I would say this is more than adequate, and if you have the choice to choose between the 2, I would certainly choose the standard edition, because the other one is just too bulky, it's a bit too cumbersome, and almost a bit just superfluous for the sake of it. The setup of the game is so quick, you literally just smash a whole bunch of dice into the mountain, pick your player power, and you're good to go. And even from round to round, the housekeeping is so simple, you just load the mountain back up. So you're not going to be bored when it's time to set up and put things in order and all that kind of thing. So a nice quick setup, a nice quick pack away, and the housekeeping in general is smooth as can be. I would also say the game scales pretty well. I would probably prefer this to play at 3 players. I think the 2-player version would be a bit too, is a bit too, I take this so therefore I know what you can get. But I suppose if you like that more cerebral feel, then you're gonna enjoy that. But I think I like the added layer of unpredictability with that 3rd player and even a 4th player. It's certainly not going to suffer at higher player counts, at least not through downtime, because there is next to no downtime. So I do like that as well. And comparison-wise, there are a lot of these Yahtzee-style games, a lot of these dice games where you're trying to collect sets and things. However, this one does have that unique element of how you're drafting the dice in the first place and the different things that the dice can do. So yeah, I'm really happy with this game does, and it certainly has a bit of a niche on my shelf. There's not really else that does this, and I'm always looking for something that's a bit different. And if I'm not playing more heavy, involved Euro games, then something like this is a nice welcome break from those more involved games where you can just sit back, enjoy the process, roll some dice and have some fun. So I think for like a family or like a lighter game night, then this is a great fit, and I'm actually really impressed with Dice Miner. I wasn't expecting much from it, and it certainly exceeded my expectations that I had from this one, because it's not had much hype, it's not had much fuss made about it, and it does what it does really well. It's going to be nice for kids. It's a nice little filler. It has a great timestamp in only being 20 minutes. And ultimately, it's a nice, fun dice rolling experience that I'll probably get to the table quite a bit because it's just enjoyable. So that concludes my thoughts on Dice Miner. A really pleasant surprise for me for 2021, and hopefully some word of mouth spreads about this one, and more people can enjoy it. So if you have enjoyed this review, please hit like and subscribe to my channel, and check out my other videos too. For everyone else, I'll see you next time on Chairman of the Board. Bye.